Hello, film fans. Welcome to the Film vs. Film podcast. My name is Martin Harries, your host, and I'm joined by the film encyclopedia man, Boaz Dix. We are a couple of filmmakers on occasion, but mainly can't stop yapping about movies. On this podcast, every episode we pick a topic from a film that's coming out at the cinema or on VOD. Myself and Boaz pick our favourite film from that topic, or team up against a guest and battle it out to decide which film will become the greatest film of all time. If you enjoy this podcast, please leave us a 5-star review and subscribe. Please enjoy part 2. So, our pick then for the legend that is Meryl Streep, we are going with Death Becomes Her. I refuse to pick any hard-hitting dramas. And just wanted a silly knockabout comedy because Bowers was like, yeah, how about Sophie's Choice? I was like, no chance. You ain't emotionally destroying me again. Because our last episode was Dead Poets Society, which I love, but man, that's a tough movie emotionally. So I was like, arguably Sophie's Choice is like even more tougher than that. So I was like, no, I can't. No.
Yeah, I would take that argument. Yes.
A few months down the line, yeah, sure, but not two episodes in a row. Whew, that's a lot. So that's our main choice for going with this. So what happens in Death Becomes Her, Boaz?
Yeah. So anyway, the plot is Meryl Streep plays a woman called Madeline. Goldie Hawn plays another woman called Helen, and they're old friends. And Helen has a fiance played by Bruce Willis called Ernest. She takes him to one of Madeline's shows. They meet up, but Madeline is trying to steal away Ernest from Helen, and she succeeds, and they end up marrying Madeline and Ernest. Helen is distraught for 7 years. She's like doing nothing with her life. Then she gets the idea of like stealing back Ernest and destroying Madeline's life. And another 7 years go by, and she comes back into town and is more famous and more beautiful than Madeline. Entices Ernest, Bruce Willis's character, gets him to agree with like trying to kill Madeline and making it look like an accident so they could run away together. Unbeknownst to them, Madeline has taken this beauty potion that makes, because she's jealous of Helen, which makes her like to her peak look like how she looked when she was younger. But it has the added side effect of making her immortal. So when Bruce kills her, she comes back to life. And during a fight between Madeline and Helen, where Madeline finds out that they intended to kill her, she kills Helen. Then it turns out Helen took that same potion. And craziness ensues.
Yeah, this is a crazy movie.
This is a very crazy movie.
Jeff, what did you make of this one then?
A lot of freaky body shit.
I knew I would have fun with this movie. I didn't know if I would think it's a good movie or not going in. I know it's a Zemeckis movie, which I mentioned to you guys last week. That surprised me for some reason. I don't know why. I thought after Back to the Future, he would do the like Chris Nolan thing where he's like, I want to make my hard-hitting drama, if I'm doing all these fucking Back to the Futures, and he does this in the early 90s. It's like, I really enjoyed it. Maybe it's because we're doing the Meryl Streep podcast, is like, I also feel like this is Meryl Streep kind of like sticking her middle finger up to everybody that thinks she's just the Academy Awards person.
Yeah. I can do stupid movies too,
That's it. I mean, no disrespect to Bruce Willis, and I know Goldie Hawn had some like prestige to her as well, but she's literally sitting there going like, look, I've worked with Nicholson on like a bunch of movies, Hoffman, right? Let's just fuck around with like the Die Hard guy. Come on, let's go. Let's just do it. I want to shoot a javelin through someone's stomach and then go, yes! I mean, no! Damn! Like, she just wants to have some fucking fun. Of course, what's really funny, too, and this doesn't matter at all, but I do like the Academy Awards. My podcast, we've seen, like, almost all of those. So if you have any interest in hearing about those movies and whether or not you want to drink beer, and we've done, like, all of them. But This is the beginning of her drought. This is the longest drought from 1979 to 2018. This period of time where Death Becomes Her comes out is her longest drought, which is 5 years without a nomination. And it's funny that she's doing like the River Wild in this, and she's like, look, I got to film on a fucking river with Kevin Bacon, and I got to film in these enormous sets with Bob Zemeckis and laugh every day. Fuck everybody. I love my life. I'm raising my kids and just having things. I'm sorry, this has nothing to do with the movie. I had fun with the movie. All these things. That's it. That's my speech.
Boaz, what did you make of Death Becomes Her? Initial reaction, sir.
Well, my initial reaction was to smile at the end. That was a fucking weird ending. It's a very strange film.
Yes.
It's a very strange film.
It is.
I think that's the only way I can like sum it up. It's weird. Weird in a kind of, not in a bad way, but in a like, my God, this is weird. Like, you know,
Okay.
smile to each end of just like, Jesus, I can't, this is crazy. Yeah, it's that kind of film. Yeah, just really quirky, really out there.
Yeah, I really like this as well. And I had not seen this before. And when I learned that it was directed by Robert Zemeckis, and obviously he's made a lot of duds recently, and I was like, I kind of wanted to be reminded that Robert Zemeckis had made really good films in the past.
Yeah, this to me seems like a script that Tim Burton would pick up. Like 100%.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, fuck it.
And then after I watched this, I was like, maybe I need another reminder that he made good films. But on the most part, I found it really good. And I love like the black comedy stuff and all the body horror aspects of it. I love that. I kind of wish it kind of went a bit further with that.
Yeah, I think it could have done.
Overall, I had a good time. There was just something missing, and it just needed a little bit extra wackiness to me.
Yeah.
I think so too. It's funny. These kind of movies happen a lot, and you almost don't realize it until you think about it afterwards. Where this movie takes place over 8 years, but 90% of this movie is a 24-hour period. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, you think about that afterwards, like, oh, that movie was funny and sin. It's like, wait, it was all one night.
Yeah.
You know, but like Goldie Hawn going into the fat suit, going into the mental institution. Also, I love Goldie Hawn going full Grey Gardens, like all with the cats. And like, again, I think that's what you mean, where it's like, but it's like sporadic, you know, it's like those kinds of things. Like,
so I think one of the things I had like with the plot of the film that is disappointing. So you were saying with the body horror, with me, it's not so much that, but it's just, I didn't see where this film was going. Like, what was the point? It doesn't feel... Yeah, so I think this is like a kind of like, it's funny, and a lot of the writing is really funny. But if I'm talking like the structure of the film, there doesn't seem to be like a cohesive plot that like feels fulfilling at the end. And yeah, you do just have like, and I feel there are inklings of things that could go somewhere. You know, where you're like, oh, she's come to destroy her life. Okay, where's that going? Then it's like, oh, she's got this young potion. Where's that going? Oh, they're going to fake her death and run somewhere. Where's that go? But it's like, it kind of just, it does something else, but it doesn't
know where it's going.
It's just like a bunch of stuff. Yeah, it doesn't really know where it's going. A bunch of stuff happens. Then he's got to like repair them, and then they try and then he wants to leave them. Then they try to make him immortal. Then he leaves, and then he lives his life. And you're like, you know, that doesn't really feel like a full plot. You know what I mean? It seems like there's a lot missing here.
yeah.
Well, there was reported that a whole entire character was completely cut out of this film as well in the editing process. So.
Where?
Yeah,
exactly. So directing then, in the most part, I think Robert Zemeckis keeps the directing pretty simple, I would say. For me, a lot of the funniest moments are sight gags. And he loves a slow pull-out shot on a mirror to reveal the gag. And I love the one where Helen, Goldie Hawn's character, is practicing a line in the mirror, trying to be as dramatic as possible. And then as the camera is coming out, you can see all these defaced pictures of Madeline with lipstick everywhere. You know, there's a great one where Madeline is introduced in bed after the time jump, and you think the maid is behind her when they're talking. Then the maid puts a tray on her lap, and I was like, "What? Where the hell did you come from?" I was like, oh, it's a mirror. Oh, okay. I felt stupid right there. But yeah, I did love a lot of the sight gags. I think one of my favorite sight gag is when Helen is explaining her plan to kill Madeline.
Oh, I like that.
By knocking her out and with alcohol, and drives her off a cliff, and the car blows up, and then cuts to the medical examiner picking up her burnt to a crisp arm, still holding a beer bottle, and she's still wearing a diamond bracelet. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, they're definitely overachievers with how much alcohol they put in the car in that gag. The seat was just full of empty vodka bottles.
Yeah. She either drank herself to death or was trying to open up a brewery or something.
Yeah, right?
Oh God! What are some of our favorite sight gags?
Oh Jesus, there's quite a few. I like when she's getting young. I think this is probably the first clip I ever watched of this film. I didn't even know what it was. Saw it on YouTube. But when she takes the youth formula and she's getting young, but I just love how like her ass tightens.
Yeah.
I just thought that was fucking hilarious. So the camera is just like bump boobs and arms and face and shit, and then just like ass shot, and you're like, what the hell? And then her ass just goes like that. I thought that was hilarious.
Do the sight gags count when you have the actress in the foreground and then the person wakes from the dead in the background?
Oh yeah, cool.
Yeah, that was funny.
I love it because it was great with Meryl because Bruce is on the phone. Not to spoil anything if you haven't seen it, but then the next time you do the same exact thing now with Meryl in the foreground and Shirley MacLaine in the background. Not Shirley MacLaine. Okay, Goldie Hawn in the background.
Goldie Hawn, yeah.
She's so towering in Postcards from the Edge. I'm just putting her in all these movies.
Yeah. This is probably the sequel to.
That's right, yeah. So the audience member, you think you got the trick, and you think Goldie Hawn's going to wake up, and then they don't do that. She actually wakes up. I thought that was a good sight gag. But no, the more obvious example is just the what I said before, the javelin going through the empty stomach. It's like it's so stupid and so fun. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh darn no.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I've written the same note as you, Jeff, with the foreground and background comedy there with Madeline's death. And I kind of really enjoyed the moment where, like, Madeline is, like, teetering on the top of the stairs. And you feel like it's going on for way too long.
Yeah.
And then Meryl Streep says something like, oh, hurry up, you wimp. And then he just pushes her. And it's so brutal as well. He mixes all these tones of brutality, comedy. It's really brutal. There's a lot of tight shots. There's a lot of and a lot of repetitive shots going on there, and you can feel the pain go right up your spine as she's falling down the stairs. It's really brutal. Yeah. And I had to actually watch it again before the music kicks in. You can see her leg move in the background before the music kicks in while Bruce Willis is on the phone. That was great. Just the comedy in there. And obviously, as you said, Jeff, they kind of tease that again with Helen's death. Madeline blows a hole through Helen, and you have that kind of similar setup. Madeline is in the foreground arguing with Bruce Willis, and she doesn't come up, and you're like, oh, okay, she must be dead then, even though it's kind of heavily implied that she's taken the health potion already. And you have kind of the reverse angle, and you're like, oh, okay, they're going to put her in the tarp or whatever, and then her head just comes right into the shot. I thought that was a great misdirect from Robert Zemeckis there. Yeah. The effects looked a little shonky, but I still kind of enjoyed the fact that it goes right up into shot and right in your face as you're watching it.
Yeah.
So, like the last scene as well is just kind of pure horror comedy where Helen and Madeline are at the back of Menville's funeral making a racket, and you can see that they don't look right even under their veil, and when they leave and lift up their veils they look really disgusting and disturbing.
Yeah.
Again, proper brutal when they fall down the stairs, and it's just a ridiculous gag at the end when they're just broken or like mannequins. For me, it's funny because it's just by how absurd it is. It's just
it's over the
great.
top.
Yeah.
Well, they're basically porcelain. They don't have any blood or flesh.
Apparently, they're made of stone. Who knew?
Yeah. But yeah, and I thought that was kind of funny. Like both of their heads are just there. It's like, where did you park the car?
Upside down, yeah.
Favorite shot or scenes, people? What we got?
I think I'll go with when Helen stands up, with the hole in her torso and stuff. I think that was a really great shot. Another shot that I haven't mentioned here, but I did like, where Bruce Willis realizes that she's undead. There's that kind of shot, and he just reminds me of Dr. Frankenstein or something, where he's like, you're alive, and then it's like from her point of view laying down upwards, and then lightning in the sky, like he's fucking like a mad scientist or something. I like that shot.
Like there were a couple sneaking around scenes very similar to Postcards too, with Meryl kind of moving around. I actually just love the way he framed, because I don't know if this is a negative or a positive, that when Bruce Willis leaves after not taking the potion, and then he goes upstairs and you only see him go through the door and shut the door, and then you see him and he's like looking around but you don't see anything else, and then the camera slowly turns and you realize there's hundreds of people in this giant room. I thought that was just, it's so simple. It's not like that requires genius to do, but I just thought it had just the right taste, because actually it was at the point now where I was like, okay, well the movie's got to be over, and then I was like, oh fuck, we have to go through this party scene now. I was like, oh, okay, cool. But it was I thought that was well done. Also, is it the game where they fall through the? You can't put a pool there. First thing.
Oh
first.
yeah. I know what you mean.
You have like this atrium with all of these windows, and then at the bottom of it is a glass ceiling over a pool. I feel like a plant is going to fall out a window and just shatter that.
Yeah, or if you had hail or just anything really.
Yeah,
it's a safety concern.
Hopefully they have central air, so no ACs are falling out of those windows.
Yeah. Like one of the tiles falls off, and then you go for a swim and you fucking shish kebab. It doesn't make any sense except to escape falling off the roof.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And even then, it's funny how in a load of movies you can go through glass like it's nothing. And he went from a hell of a height. Like, I'm sorry, he should be, kebab meat. There should be nothing left of this guy.
Oh yeah. Only in a Zane comedy about death.
Yeah, the Helen reveal is my favorite shot as well.
Yeah. But I did like some of the effects of when after they fight and just, the shit that they do to each other. I like when Madeline, her head, I think she breaks her neck again or some shit. Mm-hmm. When she hits her with the thing and it goes all the way back and then she pulls it back. And then she's got no neck, so her head is just slumped into her body, and she has to pull her head out of her. I thought that was a funny visual gag.
I think certainly one thing that definitely freaks me out a lot is just the kind of the sound design in this. When her head does get snapped and things, when she's snapping it back, it's just like, oh god, please,
sounds horrible.
Turn it down a bit. I think you can notice some of the effects a little bit.
Yeah, no, you can definitely notice some of them. Yeah,
like they use CG when it's kind of a big wide shot on Meryl Streep when her head's round the wrong way, but on the reverse side, it's all kind of practical, which is interesting.
Guys, this won the Academy Award and your BAFTA Film Award for Best Visual Effects.
It did indeed, yeah. Not entirely deserved.
We've come a long way.
I think certainly Meryl Streep's acting in those moments with the effects is great. The fact that she has to walk backwards and I can see my ass, and all that stuff.
That whole thing was great too. I don't know how they did that, but that was great.
I think definitely a lot of the practical stuff is really damn good, and even some of the CGI. There are some iffy bits, but some of it's pretty good. I do like you can tell some of it, but I think especially at the time, their de-aging of her, I think just looks really quite impressive.
Yeah.
I think you even see films now, they're really leaning into de-aging technology.
Yeah.
And even half of the time it doesn't look any good. So
and just kids on Instagram just really into
it. Yeah, exactly. And well, basically, you can do it now with the click of a button if they didn't want to pay their CGI staff. You just use what the fuck is it called? Deep fakes.
Yeah.
But yeah, for the 90s, I mean, it's pretty interesting.
It's fun too. Luckily, it was a comedy. I think that's probably why. So this beat out. It's not about Oscars, but Alien 3 and Batman Returns, which are also, Batman Returns is a kooky movie, but maybe they were just like, at least this knew what it was and it had some fun, and it will continue to be improved upon.
Yeah,
not difficult to beat Alien 3, to be fair.
Yeah, exactly.
Directing score, Jeff. What are you going for Death Becomes Her?
I go pretty high. I'd probably go somewhere around an 8.
Oh, okay.
Is that not high? I think that's pretty high.
No.
Yeah, you can use decimals if you want. Or flat 8.
I'm going to go flat 8. I knew what it was. There were room for improvement, but I knew what it was.
Boaz, what should we go for?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, my criticism is more with the script, but I quite like the directing. I think it's funny.
Yeah, I mean, Robert Zemeckis does a great job of crafting a lot of the gags and kind of messing with your rhythms of what you're expecting.
Yeah.
So he does a great job there. And there is definitely there's a lot of simple stuff here, but there is some kind of tracking shot flair, if you will, as well, which kind of keeps it interesting as well in the quieter moments. 7.7.
Oh,
you can correct us, Boaz, if we need to go up or down.
yeah. Up or down?
I'm not sure I want to go an 8.
Okay, 7.8.
Okay.
Yeah, great.
Very particular here on the Film versus Film podcast.
Actually, 7.9. Put a 7.9.
Okay. Screenplay then. I really liked how quickly they establish how much like Helen Sharp hates Madeline Ashton. Firstly, it's set up by like Dr. Manville, Bruce Willis's character, saying that he will never leave Helen, then cut to Melville marrying Madeline literally straight away, which I thought was pretty funny. But then there's an interesting scene where it opens with Helen's fat ass filling the frame, say 7 years later. Mm-hmm. And she just wants to watch Madeline get killed over and over again in a movie while she gets dragged out by the evictors. Then in like a psychiatric hospital, there's a brilliant like drawn out scene where Helen just wants to talk about Madeline Ashton and all the other patients just freak out like that's all she's ever talked about in the hospital. And it's just a brilliant, like funny few scenes with a bit of edginess to it, just to establish how much she absolutely hates this character of Madeline Ashton. I thought it was really well done.
Yeah, I already burned through my whatever happened to Baby Jane reference in our last film, but I think this, All About Eve, but funny. I think they get to that pretty quickly too. Again, setting up the tone, letting you know how to watch this movie, and they start. I mean, how ridiculous is that opening sequence with Meryl Streep in the Broadway number, which is a fantastic.
Yeah.
I love this in comedies too, where I'm watching it and I'm like, I don't know, this looks pretty fun. And everybody's walking out and like snoring and stuff. But then immediately to get into the Goldie Hawn with Bruce Willis, right? Just to get into it right away. I thought that was well done. And it was zany and silly and could have been corrected here and there, but it had its wit and it kept it moving. I don't think there were any times where it took a step back necessarily. So yeah, kudos.
I feel like the weak element in this film, and I think we're all in agreement here, is the script. And I think it's because the characters are just not very likable.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, actually.
And, you can have films where, like, you have obscene characters, but the film is awesome. It's really interesting, but I'm not sure it quite gets there in this film. Madeline is unlikable from the start, and you're rooting for Bruce Willis's character, Ernest, but he goes off and marries Madeline straight away, and you're like, he's a dick. Then you're on the side of Helen's character, and then when Helen has a hole blown through her stomach and she realizes she's taken the potion, and you realize she's taken the potion too, even though it was heavily implied because of her weight loss, and she only takes the potion to compete with Madeline and take Ernest back. And so none of these characters are particularly likable as you get to like halfway through the film. So in the end, I didn't really care about what happens to these characters. The film does make attempts to redeem Ernest near the end, and he's willing to die and not take the potion. But I don't think that's enough for me to make him likable again, and the film falls a bit flat in the end. And I think Ernest needed a bit more likability to him, and the plot needed to be a bit more wackier, and I would have loved to have seen more Isabella Rossellini in the castle, because I feel like she was the most interesting character, very unused for me.
She was really cool.
Yeah. I just about that. I love how epic the set was and how slow and almost like Kubrickian that everybody was moving in there. And then Meryl Streep then got to flex her comedic acting muscles, where it was like she was the fish out of water in that scene. I thought that went well. Yeah, there was this weird sort of, I don't know if it was intentional or not, but Meryl Streep started very much, you don't like her. And then she tried to get more and more likable throughout the film. Goldie Hawn started out likable and then got more and more unlikable throughout the film. And then Alec Baldwin was sort of in the middle. And I think he was flailing a little. Not Alec Baldwin. Jesus Christ, man.
I was going to say, where the fuck was he? Yeah. Were we watching the same movie? Jesus.
It's it's funny. There are Beetlejuice vibes for me in this a little bit, but no, that's my excuse. No, Bruce Willis in this was kind of flailing a little bit. I think that like the greats like Peter Sellers or even Kevin Kline in a role like this, like could have been as zany as him, but had a more clear point of view. And so I think he actually could have been our cohesive glue between these two unlikable characters in the middle. But it was actually almost like there were times where I was like, just get out of the way, man. Just get out of there,
Yeah, I did feel like in so many scenes, he's really flaky and you're not really sure like what he's doing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like what's your goal here? What's your end goal here? Like do you know what I mean?
Yeah. He should have been firmly planted in between them, really. And I didn't get that from him.
Yeah, I think because I think that would have where he decides to get rid, destroy the vial and even run away. It's like I think that would have carried more weight if like through it he had a kind of personality of do you know what I mean? Like like some sort of moral cohesion. Like what you girls are doing is wrong. It's
It was so obvious he shouldn't take it. I also didn't care. I also didn't care, but it was so obvious. It's like, man, do you really want this to be the rest of your life? Look at you. Don't do that.
You'll be spray painting yourself. What's going on?
That's it.
I think this film also kind of reminded me a lot of one of the past films we've watched actually on this podcast, The Mask of the Red Death, in the castle scenes, because Rossellini's character kind of explains to Madeline that like you can't be seen in public anymore, and they kind of forget about that element a little bit, and I feel like they could have explored that a little bit more, but they don't really at all. I feel like there's just gold there with Isabella Rossellini's character.
Totally.
What's she called? Rehuman or something?
Yeah.
And the film could have been so much more wackier and just crazy. I mean, she's got 2 like 80s wrestlers for servants. I mean, come on, let's play on that.
yeah. We gotta use them a little more. Yeah,
absolutely. They could have done a full like sort of Beetlejuice of all them teaming up against the witch that gave them these powers or something.
We should. Yeah.
I know that's kind of cliche or whatever, but I don't know. Like then you'd have like a redemption arc for the girls, I suppose, and you'd get to see more of her because Bruce Willis isn't really much of a threat to her.
Yeah, but at the same time, you still got to have like Madeline and Helen kind of look stupid at the end, because obviously this it definitely has a lot of satirical elements of plastic surgery and celebrity culture in there. So you do have to kind of end up with those 2 characters looking terrible, So I guess the film just meanders here and there, and there's not a clear sense of where it's going. So.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. There are some really great ideas in the plot, but I do agree with that. It does sort of just weave in and out, and it's not structured incredibly, as solid as it could be. So I think that's a good word for it. It meanders quite a bit in between plot points. So I would have just liked a little more focus, and maybe that if that came together a little better.
Either that, or just really hit home with the wackiness and craziness.
Well, just go absolutely fucking nuts. Yeah, I think those are your 2 options. I agree with that, because it doesn't get really crazy until like the halfway point when
basically,
she gets a fucking neck snapped. That's the big moment, and that's like over halfway through the film, and then it's pretty crazy. But yeah, I agree with you. Either make a solid plot, or just go fucking apeshit, like, right off the bat,
Yeah, let's see some more magic. Or the Isabella Rossellini line of like, in a world that's so obsessed with science, why not a little magic? And I was like, first of all, are we obsessed with science? Like, I know we've had no science references up until this point.
No. Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, like to have, you can't just like, I know you don't want to give the game away, but that's the movie, right? That's what it is about this vial. And it's like halfway through. I wish there was some way of getting to that wacky or zany a little sooner, I guess. And the Goldie Hawn stuff was not wacky zany. It was crazy, right? That she becomes huge and the cats and the stuff, but not where. Yeah, anyway.
Yeah, exactly. It's not using the magic sci-fi thing to its use.
Favorite lines, people? I think one of my favorites is "Wrinkled, wrinkled little star, hope they never see the scars."
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, that's a good one. There are some funny quotes. I like the where Ernest is drinking and somebody likes how he had what was it, like touched up her mother's dead body. It's like, how did you make her look so good and so lifelike?
You rephrase that, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like painted, not played with.
Yeah.
You know. But,
oh dear.
But anyway, Well, yeah, I mean, he technically is a necrophiliac, you know.
I mean,
yeah, kind of. Yeah. But anyway, and I like where
Moving on.
yeah, I like where she's like, you know, how did you do that? And he's just like, you know, spray paint, you know, and he's just doing this. Yeah, I quite like that.
For me, it's actually a Bruce Willis line, despite me knocking his. I know we're not there yet, but you can already tell where I'm headed with him. When he finds out, but she's not in the hospital room anymore. And he goes, "Where is she?" And the nurse goes, "She's dead, sir. They took her to the morgue." And he goes, "The morgue? She'll be furious."
Yeah, that was funny.
Oh, for Christ's sake, at least lie quickly.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
That was a good one. I like that one.
When she's talking to her bit on the side.
Mm-hmm.
There's a great one, I think from Streep near the end. We just have to be very, very careful with ourselves. We have to take care of each other. I'll paint your ass, you paint mine. Great one.
That was funny, yeah. I like that one with the ER doctor where he's like, you know, testing her and is like, you know, do you feel that? And it's like literally all the way back with her wrist.
Yeah. She's like, no. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I like where he's like, you know, he's given an evaluation. He's like, the bone protrusion through the skin, that's not a good sign. Your body temperature is below 80 and your heart, it stopped beating. And then Ernst is like, what the hell does that mean? Exactly. What the hell? He's like, I'm going to get a second opinion, and he leaves. I really like that.
And dies, I believe. He's dead, right? Is that what we...
I didn't really understand that. I was like, okay, he's dead. Right, okay, let's move on.
Time moved very fast in that, like, 2 minutes.
Yes, it did, yeah. Yeah, it feels like, you could have spent ages in the hospital, like trying to sneak her out.
I feel like something was cut out there.
Yeah, I do agree with that.
But yeah, my favorite is yes, no, oh damn, you know, with the spear going through the hole. That was just genius.
You get excited when you throw something through a target. You get excited. She's like, yes, no, damn, like it's so great. The broken shovel, yeah,
that was good. Yeah. Well, where after she's like blown a hole in her, I think she doesn't notice she's got a hole blown in her.
Yeah.
And so she's like, what was it? You won't be able to wear bikinis or some shit like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was quite funny.
Screenplay score, Jeff, what are you going for?
Maybe like a 7-1.
Okay. What should we go with, Bowers, then?
Oh man, I like it's
not great.
No, there are good ideas and there are funny lines and there are good bits, but I just I mean I've just said it. I just feel that there's a lot missing, really.
6.8.
Yeah, right.
I just feel like it just gets a bit lost.
I think it gets a bit lost. Yeah, certainly
with Bruce Willis's character, as we've all kind of said. So
yeah.
There's some great funny lines here, but. It feels, as we've kind of said, it feels like it's stuck between two different types of film, like a real farcical black comedy,
like a supernatural.
There's kind of like you've got to have a plot in there somewhere, and you know, feeding those two things kind of doesn't quite work.
Yeah, how about like actually a 6.6?
Oh, harsher. 6.7.
Okay,
meet down the middle. Acting then. Meryl Streep has some amazing comic timing in this film. And I love the scene with Isabella Rossellini, who plays von Ruhmen, I think. And she's explaining how the potion works, and Streep looks in awe, and then in a brilliant, like, deadpan way just says, "How much is it?" And then Ruhmen tests the potion on Madeline's hand, and it turns all young, and again, brilliant, like, deadpan in almost the same way, just says, "Do you take a check?" Again, just brilliant comic timing.
Just the way she shouted, like when she gets stabbed and she goes, what are you, nuts? Like the way she shouts in this, again, this very Kubrickian weird world, just like almost dystopian with this huge set. And then you have Meryl Streep just giving this, like, you know, a black, you know, farcical comedic take.
Yeah.
I think she just does her like comedy rage stuff so well. And kind of goes into that really easily and naturally that I find not many actors can do that comedy rage type thing with her timing as well.
The look on her face when the love interest that you'd mentioned before, when she finally realizes that he's been in bed, it's like, she just says, well, find someone your own age. And you cut to her face. And then there's the most blatant fake rainstorm that comes. That's like a full torrential downpour with like the thunder strike. And you just see Meryl's face unfazed by the fact that it now is drenched like on the dime. Like it's really, really cool.
The like opening number in the theater is really interesting from Meryl Streep with her comedy acting, like where she sings, "That's the question I'm most afraid of. One that asks me what I'm really made of." Then cups her breasts and then was like, "Oops, wasn't supposed to do that. Started out." I feel like that was part of her character of just like, oh, I wasn't supposed to do that. I found Bruce Willis a little one note in his despair of his situation. Like his performance was a bit tiresome by the end. Not really at the same level as like Goldie Hawn or Meryl Streep in their comedy acting. And at the end, I was just willing him to drink the potion so he could be happy at some point in this film. You know, you can tell this type of acting doesn't come naturally to him at all. Like you feel him trying really hard.
That's it. That's
like
it.
Goldie Hawn and Meryl Streep make it look effortless, whereas Bruce Willis feels like he needs a run and jump to it. You know,
I agree. Well, I'll just say flailing again. I felt like he realized he realized it wasn't coming easy to him. So in his effort to put in too much work, you never want to see someone work on screen. That's like a go-to actor saying, right? If I can see you working, that's all I'm thinking about is you working and not your character and not your intention and stuff. And there were times where he just seemed like he's like, oh, it's a comedy. I need to do this. And it's like, no, it's got to be grounded.
I mean, at the same time, I feel a bit gutted for him because he's like,
true. Surely
Bruce Willis is allowed to have a good time at some point in this film. Just feels so sad and upset.
I don't think Bruce Willis, the actor, had enough fun. I think the cuts ended and he went, oh, how do I do that better?
Just head in his hand. Like, oh, Jesus.
Like he probably laughed off, be like, but deep down inside he was going, man, it was Die Hard's easier.
I wish I was kicking ass. You know.
There must be like conversations between Bruce Willis and Robert Zemeckis where he's just like, in the next scene, can I smile at least? Or is that not allowed? Like, no, you can't smile, dude. Sorry. You gotta act miserable all the way through.
I really, so all of the three women in this, I think, are great. I like Goldie Hawn.
I love the scene where she's like trying to seduce Bruce Willis again when in that red dress was hilarious.
Yeah, that was funny.
Going right up close to him and
because I like where and she's doing it like so hammy, but it's funny. It's like intentionally hammy. It's like, you know, overdone, but like, you know, she knows what she's doing. I just love how you know, she goes at the door is like, you know, Maddie in? And I'm looking for Maddie. And he's like, no, she's out. It's like, thank God. You know? And then just grabs hold of him. It's like, I can't do this. You know. And I like when she's, what was it? You're a powerful sexual being, Ernest.
Yeah.
He's like, I am. And he's like, yes, you are. If I've never told you before because I wasn't the sort of girl that would have said would say the word sexual without blushing. And she's just like, sexual.
She says it 17 times, yeah. Said it over and over.
Sexy.
Sexual.
Sexy. Yeah, sex. You know, but how she does those lines is fucking hilarious. She makes it a million times funnier.
That's totally.
Yeah, I love the bite she has with her eyes when they're like on the phone and after Ernest kills Madeline, and she's like, we went over the plan like 5 times, Ernest. What are you doing? I love that simple shot of her just looking really pissed, but not doing too much, you know. It's just like she's brilliant there. I mean, you know, I guess it's a controversial subject these days, but I did love her in the fat suit. I'm not going to lie. Like, she was great as just, you know, this big lady just really just wanting to watch Madeline die over and over, you know, watching that film. That was great.
It's basically her last wish.
Well, I like how when she opens up all the cupboards and we still haven't seen her face, and she's just like hands on her hips, just like looking at all the fucking shit that she's got.
So much cat food.
So for me, my favorite performance would be Goldie Hawn for me.
Yeah, I think she's
because she has the more variety in her comedy performance. She has to be, you know, a seductress. She has to be, the big crazy lady, and she has some really like quiet, stern moments as well with Ernest.
Yeah, and I mean, even when she starts off the film, she's completely different. Like she's very mousy to start with.
Oh,
and then like just fucking like I don't know, like a wreck of a person, and then like just like overconfident, over the top. Yeah, I think she was really good. I like the physical acting of her, like breaking into the manor and stuff like that. Like, jumping the fence and like, rolling under the car. The car almost squishes her and running through the fence again just before.
I want to know how they did that shot. Did they reverse it? Like, how did they do that? And was killed Goldie Hawn.
Yeah, maybe she's got like a twin sister. Like the real Goldie Hawn died during the filming of this. They cloned her.
Well, at first I was like, well, but they just probably reversed it. And I was like, but wait, he does like an L turn. Like either way, even if you reverse it, they still like, I don't know how they did it.
Yeah, you still have to get close to this woman's face. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, just don't tell Kurt Russell, I guess. Favorite performance, Jeff? Who are you going with?
I go Meryl Streep. I think in this, it's just, I mean, it's an obvious answer, I suppose, but it's just the greatest combination of being generous to her scene partners, but also just being so commanding of every single moment.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, she's a great presence in this film.
Starts out unlikable for sure, but then I think I got there. It took some time, but I got there.
Yeah, I guess I would agree with that in the fact that she is the one that does become a little bit more likable, I guess, just with her quality of acting, I guess. And she just has great chemistry with Goldie Hawn when they kind of become frenemies at the end. But yeah, their interaction in the latter parts of the film is great to watch.
Yeah.
Boaz, who's your favorite performance?
Probably just edge it out to Goldie Hawn.
Yeah, all right.
But I think they're both absolutely phenomenal in this.
Acting score, Jeff, what are you going for?
It's Bruce. This is the thing. Like, if it was just the other three, this would be like up in the nines. But and I don't dislike Bruce Willis. It's just, God, what would Kevin Kline have done to this? Specifically at this time period, like 2 years after Fish Called Wanda and 10 years after Sophie's Choice with Meryl.
Yeah, that would have been perfect.
Yeah, I think that would have been fucking perfect.
I'll say 8.1 because of everybody else.
Boaz, what should we go for acting score then?
What are you thinking?
I don't know, high 7, 8?
I wouldn't go like high 7. I think that's way too low.
Okay.
Yeah, I think even regardless of Bruce Willis, I like the other, especially Meryl Streep and Goldie Hawn so much in it. And I mean, they're in it most of the time.
I must say though, like the little cameo scene Sidney Pollack has is amazing as well. Just great comedy timing when he leaves, after saying, I think I'm going to need a second opinion is genius.
Yeah, that was funny. Yeah. The doctor was great. Yeah, man. So I don't know, like 8.5?
8.3.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, cool. Right, let's add up the scores then for Death Becomes Her.
I have bated breath.
But we'll see eventually. Jesus Christ, man.
It's all right. That's all right. Yeah, patient.
It takes longer and longer every fucking week. Jeez.
Death Becomes Her gets 46.1. So Postcards from the Edge wins this one, which I think is deserved, to be fair. It's a great script. Great film.
Yeah.
I wonder if you just did scenes, like your 3 favorite scenes from each movie. I wonder what that battle would be, but yeah.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
But on the whole, yeah.
Next episode, as Ant-Man Quantumania reaches screens around the world, Marvel is returning people. And no, we're not going to do Paul Rudd films. And no, we're not going to do Michelle Pfeiffer films. And no, we're not going to do Michael Douglas films. Nope. We are doing Ant films. Yes, creature feature Ant movies we are doing for next episode.
We're going to be really scraping the bottom of the fucking barrel there.
There's some good ones out there.
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
That's a great movie, actually.
Yeah.
I'm dibbing that. Yeah, I'm taking a dibs on that.
Don't they like make friends with an ant?
Them.
Well, actually, what we could do is I take ants and you take Bug's Life.
Possibly, could do that. Yeah.
Oh, fun! That's fun.
That would be a good one.
Yeah. Jeff from the Love of Cinema Pod, you have been amazing. Thanks for coming on. This is your opportunity again to talk about your podcast. And where can we find you?
So fun. We're on all this. Of course, we have the link tree set up on our Instagram and, the love of cinema. It's a heart with 3 faces. We were the only love of cinema when we launched this. And then the other love of cinema has tried to come out to play, but it's a heart with three faces on it. And we have done, we've done series. We did a franchise face off where we talked about different franchises and had them face off against each other during COVID and such. But the idea is that we stay positive and we drink. So that's the moral of the story. If you have movies that you've watched in the past year, or you want to catch up on your Oscar movies, check us out. We drink, we curse, and we try to be spoiler free at first. And then we go a little nuts once the sauce starts hitting us. So yeah, love of cinema.
Nice. Jeff, it's time to say goodbye. You've been amazing. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks, dude. And
it's goodbye from the Mr. Encyclopedia Man. You can kind of sort out your head now, straighten it out. Bye-bye.
Bye. You calling me ugly? Motherfucker.
No, you just need to straighten your head. Like, for most of the podcast, we couldn't literally see you because of camera issues.
Yeah, that's true.
But I'm just imagining in my head it's because your head is round the wrong way. There we go.
Yeah. It's inside out, upside down.
Yeah. All right. Bye-bye.
See ya.
See ya.
That's it for part 2. Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed it. Check out part 1 if you haven't done so already. But don't stop there. Get involved and tell us what your favourite films are relating to the episodes. Send us a DM or comment on Instagram and TikTok at Film vs. Film Podcast, for Twitter at FVF_podcast. If you do, we'll give you a shout out on the next episode. If you're feeling really generous, you can buy us a one-off coffee at our Buy Me a Coffee account. Remember, please leave us a 5-star review and subscribe. Pod signing off. Thank you.